Hello and welcome to the section 5, releasing and crash reporting in React Native. In this section, I am going to talk about some React Native crash reporting issues. When we be in production, we have no clue that how can we handle errors in production in React Native. And if we are working in debugging mode, then how can we handle our error globally and how I can send errors on our server. So this is the main thing that we have to talk about in brief. Let's go to caching errors in production. So let's talk about exception handling in React Native. How React Native itself handle errors. This means if we create any fatal error in React Native app, then we get a red screen. That is the automatic handling by React Native. So that is how React Native itself handle errors. But how can we handle error according to our use? It means when we are getting some errors, how we want to use and how we want to show that on the screen as per user perspective. So if we want to handle error according to our use, then we can use React Native Exception Handler. This is a very good library created by Master Atul R. I will talk about little bit and I will show the pros and cons about React Native Exception Handler, but let's go to the code first. So let's come to the code. As you can see, I have created a text inside a touchable opacity, make an invalid request, and a bad state change text inside a touchable opacity. And here I'm going to run this. So let's reload it. I'll click on make an invalid request. So let's check what I got. So here you can see the error config transform. This is the error that is handled by Axios and I'm getting error according to Axios. So let's talk about React Native Exception Handler and let's talk about how it could be easy and it could be useful for us. So here is the React Native Exception Handler. In the current scenario, in dev mode, you get a red screen error pointing your errors. In bundled mode, the app just quits without any prompt. To tackle this, we register a global error handle that could be used to, for example, send bug reports to dev team when the app crashes and show a creative dialog saying the user should restart the application. But here you can handle each and every error according to your use, and the drawback of this library could be for your perspective or anyone perspective who is creating our own app, that they have to create their own server to handle the error, to store the error data. So you have to manage all the error data on the server as well. So here's the instructions. Using that, you can install the React Native Exception Handler inside your app. npm I React Native Exception Handler -- save, and then you can link it to your app. React Native link React Native Exception Handler. So here you can see all the caused error, they are restarting the app, etc. I am importing two methods, setJS Exception Handler and setNativeExceptionHandler from React Native Exception Handler. First of all, I am creating a method and this accepts two parameters, error and is fatal. First of all, I'll do this. If you will do this, then it's not going to work because you are in debug mode. If I'll make debug mode true, then it will work for you. So always careful, if you are using a debug mode, then make it true, and if you are putting this app on production, if you are creating your app release APK or anything for your use, then make it false. And inside handle error, I am creating a log and also the alert. So I am creating this and let's create this. Now I will reload and let's click on the make an invalid request. The error alert you can see over here, that is handling your error globally for your app. If you are handling JS exception handler, then you can use this method. If you are passing any native exception handler, then there is another method, error string you can pass. This is the only parameter available here, error string. So you can call this method at that stage. Also, if you are getting a red screen, then you will get a dismiss call and then you can create your own dialog over there and you can show the errors. So this is all about React Native Exception Handler. But if you are not using React Native Exception Handler, you should use Firebase Crashlytics. That is very useful because they are giving their own server and you can use it for both Android and iOS. Because using React Native exception handler, you have to create your own server, and that is a very long process that you have to do, and they are doing it very well. I'm using Crashlytics from 4 to 5 years and it is pretty good, and we get the error as per our need and we are able to solve the errors, so you don't have to care about it. So it is easy to implement Fabric Crashlytics, that is very useful. Rather than, it was an example that you can create your own exception handlers as per your need, but if you want, then you can go with React Native exception handler. But if you don't want to create your own server, then go with Firebase Crashlytics or any other third-party app. They are giving their own servers to handle the error. They are giving their SDKs to handle the errors, and you will get your production errors on your email or any email that you are going to register with that. Listen production bugs using Firebase Crashlytics for React Native app. Firebase Crashlytics is a lightweight, real-time crash reporter that helps you track, prioritize, and fix stability issues that erode the app quality. It also groups crashes and highlighting the circumstances that led up to them. We can find out if a particular crash is impacting a lot of users and get alerts when an issue suddenly increases in severity. So Firebase Crashlytics is very useful when you are handling any error, and if you want to stable your app, you want to make any stable app, then you can use Firebase Crashlytics, because each and every crash, they globally handle your errors and pass the error on your email. From there you can find the line number, you can find the method name, you can find the exact variable name where your app is getting crashed and what are the exceptions over there. It could be a null pointer, it could be a out of memory error, anything. So you can handle using it Firebase Crashlytics. It is a very lightweight. So here, listen production bugs. So for Android you can follow this link, and for iOS you can follow these links. Let's talk about these links. So let's talk about how to handle errors in Android app using Firebase Crashlytics. Firebase Crashlytics is a lightweight, real-time crash reporter that helps you track, prioritize, and fix stability issues. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yup. Hold on, we are talking about React Native applications which will generate both native and JSX JavaScript compiler crashes as mentioned earlier. So here's the instructions. Use a custom error handler which overrides the global error handler. Same I talked about as per React Native exception handler. You can have a function which overrides the global error handler and initialize this in a higher order component. Thanks to React Native Fabric for this implementation. In the React Native Fabric, the original error handler is called again after logging the exception with a native module. This will create duplicate entries in your Crashlytics dashboard. One as a non-fatal and other as a crash, even though both would be referring to the same error. So if there is a same error, then as well it will create duplicate entries for the same error, because it could be a fatal error and it could be a error as well, normal error as well. So here you have to create your own cache handler class. According to your use, you can handle it. Here's the JavaScript exception class where we are using setStackTrace method. And this is the crashlytics.log that we are passing the error to Crashlytics. So here, if the error is fatal, it will throw an exception which will have the line numbers and columns set and hence will be categorized into different crashes in Crashlytics. If it is non-fatal error, it is logged to Crashlytics using log exceptions method in the API. So this is a very good article about using Crashlytics with React Native Android app. So you can follow if you want to use the Firebase Crashlytics to handle your Android app error. So let's talk about iOS. Add Crashlytics to your React Native iOS app. This is another article for iOS app. It will record every single crash and its track trace. This is way better than the iTunes Connect crash reports, which only include the info of users that opted into the share information with developers while setting up a new iPhone. It's also not updated in real time. You can read more about this here. So here are the instructions that you can follow. Part 1. Add the Crashlytics SDK to your Xcode project and then download the SDK from Fabric websites. Install the SDK from Cocoa Pods. And the first step, create and confirm your Fabric account. Then follow the steps, click on the link, download and Fabric plugin. Unzip and run the Fabric app, log in with your credential and select your Xcode project from the list. Finally, click install Crashlytics and follow the steps. So you can follow the steps and you can put it inside your app accordingly.